The topic of hair color has been constant this week in the Dragon Ball fandom, and not just with Trunks, but also with the 13th chapter of the Dragon Ball Super manga, where Goku, for some inexplicable reason, reverted back to using the classic Super Saiyan God, the red-haired form from the Battle of Gods movie and arc, which we thought we'd never see again, but I guess not. However, he did not do this in the anime. Why? What's going on here? What explanation is there, if there even is one? Well, Herms joins me next.
Lord Frieza demands that you subscribe to this channel and follow Mr. Geekdom on these social media platforms.
The God of Destruction Champa arc, also known as the Universe 6 tournament, concluded about 2 months ago in Dragon Ball Super, the anime, but in the latest issue of V-Jump, the manga finally got a chance to catch up and finally concluded the Goku versus Hit fight, as well as the summoning of the Super Shenlong, and of course the Monaka thing. It was all wrapped up pretty much in the latest issue, but there are questions because the manga, which tends to always differ from the anime in one way or another because of the different form of media, but in this case, it's kind of a major change in that the Goku Hit fight had adverse and drastic changes, including the return of the red-haired God form. And joining me today to talk about this and try to get to the bottom of it, please welcome back everybody's favorite genius, Professor Herms.
Hello.
The TV version of Dragon Ball Super, we've never seen Red, the red-haired God form. We haven't seen that form since Goku used it against Beerus in their fight at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super or in Battle of Gods the movie. However, in the Chapter 13 manga, Toyotaro brought it back. Now, there's inconsistencies here, Herms.
Okay, so the annoying thing when it comes to this latest chapter is that this is a English translation of a Korean translation of whatever is said in the original. But okay, so Vados says that Hit doesn't use up any stamina in order to time skip. On the other hand, his opponent, meaning Goku, seems to be spending quite a lot on such high-speed movements. If it keeps going like this, then that Saiyan will be the first one to have his stamina depleted. And then Goku says, if this keeps up, I'll be the first to run out of energy. Also, at the same time, Beerus says, Goku's stronger in terms of power, so how dare Hit use such a dirty trick like time skip? Okay, so on Super Saiyan God specifically, and Vegeta says, Kakarot, that asshole. Even in this situation, he's conserving power for Blue. Hit says, I couldn't stop him for a full 10th of a second, referring to Goku. And then Whis says, Blue isn't a transformation that can be done multiple times. The strain Blue has on one's stamina is that strenuous. And so Beer says, so you're saying that Goku's Super Saiyan God form is stronger than Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue form from back then? Meaning the tired, 1/10 power.
Yeah, in other words, Vegeta just got done fighting 3 guys, and it's implied that when you transform, it eats up a lot of energy, pretty much. They were training in the Room of Spirit and Time for 3 years. Goku and Vegeta both chastised Golden Frieza for quickly going into a fight without getting used to his new form. Don't you think that 3 years is plenty of time to get used to your blue-haired form? I do have
a theory on this, but we can get to that. So after the fight is over, Goku says to Vegeta, if you had conserved Blue's power too, you might have been able to win. Why would you turn Blue for that Kappa guy when you could have won with just Super Saiyan? He had to show off Blue in order to properly motivate Kabe. Essentially, only androids are going to have literally infinite stamina, and then everything else would presumably just be on a scale where it's not like there's just 2 categories where there's stamina issues versus no stamina issues. But with the Blue form specifically, Whis does say that it's really strenuous on stamina, which is why you can't transform into it multiple times in a row, which is kind of an odd thing that we haven't really heard.
That was not in the anime at all.
Yeah. It's not in the anime, and it's also I don't know if there's really precedent for that sort of thing with other transformations. Specifically, not even fighting in that form, but just the act of transforming into it, we're told, uses up stamina, so that just by using it against Kabe previously, it's Vegeta, that made Vegeta weaker against Hit.
Because folks were wondering, why would Goku and Vegeta use Golden SS against, Frost and those guys? Now we have an explanation. personally, I don't know if I buy it. It just seems very just out of left field.
Seems to be the excuse for why they don't use it until the very end. Why they bother fighting in their base form and their golden-haired Super Saiyan form, and even in Goku's case, using the red-haired form. It's explicitly said, like, Vegeta seems to comment that, like, when Goku uses the form, the red-haired form, Vegeta says, "Oh, he's still conserving his power, that jerk." And so it's explicitly presented as an energy-saving move that using the red form, rather than going straight to blue, will somehow save him in the long run.
He's fighting hit with yellow. He says, this is not enough, but I don't want to go to blue yet because I don't want to strain myself transforming, so let me use red in between. The problem with that is that we didn't see that in the anime. Now, the real thing is we have to figure out what's going on here, because people are now blaming Toriyama. Toriyama may not have been the one to explicitly tell Toyotaro he's going to use the red-haired form in between. In fact, there's tons of evidence that tells us that it was probably Toyotaro's idea, not Toriyama's idea. The Resurrection F movie had a 3-chapter Resurrection F promotional manga done by Toyotaro, who at that time was just doing it, to promote Resurrection F. It wasn't really a part of the Super manga because we didn't actually have Super officially announced as of yet. And in the 2nd chapter, Goku is training with Whis, and there's a scene where he lunges at Whis, and we see the red-haired god, like a silhouette of the classic Super Saiyan God form behind Goku. This was not anywhere to be found in the movie. So, based on the fact that we've only seen SS God in Toyotaro's interpretation of what's going on, is it fair to assume that Toyotaro is the guy who is choosing to reintroduce red hair to the series, and it's not Toriyama or Toei?
Well, except to clarify, not only is there no red hair in the movie version, but it's also not referenced in Toriyama's script. We know for a fact in that case that it was presumably Toyotaro's idea to include it in his version of the manga for the Resurrection F stuff, and so, just inferring from that, this isn't a fact, but I would guess based on that the inclusion of the red-haired form in this Super adaptation is likewise Toyotaro's idea, especially because, goes without saying, it wasn't in the anime version, and that would be a fairly major thing to leave out. On the flip side, Toyotaro's version doesn't have the Kaioken blue thing. Unless they eventually publish Toriyama's notes or he mentions it in an interview, he could have just said, given to Toei and Toyotaro, he could have just said, okay, have Goku and Hit fight. Here are notes on how Hit's time skip works, but he might not have said anything about Kaioken, and that could be Toei's idea, or maybe not.
Right now, some fans are assuming now that SS Red, and this is kind of a weird thing, but they assume that Goku is so much stronger than Vegeta that his red-haired form is stronger than Vegeta's blue-haired form. But that's not the case because people are forgetting that Vegeta was tired. I do think that Vegeta and Goku might be a little stronger, but I don't think his red-haired form is stronger than Vegeta's blue.
So, and that is said in the chapter, but it is explicitly said to be a result of Vegeta being so tired and only at about 10% of his power. It does, and at the end of the fight, Goku does tell Vegeta that if Vegeta wasn't so tired, he probably could have won his fight against Hit. Blue Vegeta is at least as strong as Blue Goku.
Well, I want to take it to the comments section, of course. Thoughts on the return of SS God. It seems like it's a Toyotaro exclusive thing. We don't know for sure, okay? But it seems like it. And until we see it in the anime, it just seems like it's just for the manga. I think that people should just understand that. And one thing I have said in the past is that the manga and the anime do have two different continuities. They're kind of the same story, but they're really not. There are kind of two different continuities. So don't, fight over canon this, canon that, because it's just accepted that there's two different retellings of the same story.
Yes, it's not comparable to what we had in the main series when that was going, whereas the manga being adapted into the anime was essentially like the same story with filler, literally, just the same things with bits added on. And, there's a few times where the anime changed things around, whereas this, there's just lots of different little differences all the way through.
Why did Toyotaro choose to not follow the anime?
I do wonder if he's intentionally trying to do differences just because,
Because they're ahead of him.
Yeah, like if it was exactly the same as the anime, then it's like, what's the point? Because this is coming out 2 months after this stuff aired. Why would we necessarily want to see precisely the same thing in that case?
I agree with you, but it seems like the reverse effect has happened because a lot of people are pissed off about this, man.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I do think a lot of changes are due to just the need to compress the story because he's only doing like 29 pages every month, and like he's gone from being ahead of the anime by a substantial degree to being behind it, and it seems like that's just going to get worse in the future. So it's like the manga version is always very sped up compared to the anime, even the anime version of the tournament arc was very
way
fast
too
paced.
fast, right? Everybody check out Herms, twitter.com/Herms98. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Well, hopefully we'll get to the bottom of this stamina thing one day.
One day, or it's just one big contradiction as always. We'll catch you down the road.